Decades ago, I started growing food in my front and backyard, and I realized that my mission in life is to inspire and empower others to grow their own nutrient-dense, healthy organic food. Because of this, a lot of people have come to me with their gardening questions over the years, and that got me thinking, what if we put together a community that would help budding gardeners blossom? So I finally made the idea a reality with my Urban Farm U member program. Each month, your membership includes 3 live online events, a monthly class, a chit-chat with an expert, and a monthly coaching session, plus access to the experts on our member page and a significant discount on our signature courses. I'm deeply committed to transforming our global food system, and I do this by empowering you to grow your own food. The Urban Farm membership program is a simple way to get going. Please join me in transforming your food system today. To learn more, go to urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444. That's urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444.
You're listening to the Urban Farm Podcast, your partner in the Grow Your Own Food revolution. Whether you've just been introduced to urban farming or you're a lifelong advocate, we're sure you'll leave feeling more informed, equipped, and empowered to dig deeper into the soil of your local food economy. With you every step of the way, here's your host, Greg Peterson.
Today on the Urban Farm Podcast, we have Penny Livingston to talk about her experience with urban permaculture. Penny is internationally recognized as a prominent permaculture teacher, designer, and speaker. She holds an MS in eco-social regeneration and a diploma in permaculture design. Penny has been studying the Hermetic tradition of alchemy and herbal medicine making in Europe and the United States for the past 4 years. Penny has been teaching internationally and working professionally in land management, regenerative design, and permaculture development for over 25 years, and has extensive experience in all phases of ecologically sound design and construction, as well as the use of natural and non-toxic building materials. She specializes in site planning and the design of resource-rich landscapes integrating rainwater collection, edible and medicinal planting, spring development, pond and water systems, habitat development, and watershed restorations for homes, co-housing communities, businesses, and diverse yield perennial farms. Welcome to the show today, Penny.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for being here. So I shared a bit about you. Can you fill in the blanks for us and share more about the path you took to get where you're at now?
Well, let's see. My background is in landscape design and textile design. So I was doing a lot of work in the 80s and 90s for single-family residences, commercial, and developers, new development. And at the time, I was doing a lot of organic and native plant landscaping back then. And I guess I just started getting... But I think my road to taking my first permaculture design course was almost fated. You know, I kind of closed one door with a client who was I just walked away from a large job and was sort of getting tired of kind of comforting the rich and going through a crisis of consciousness around what am I doing with my life? And a permaculture course was starting up at Lost Valley Education Center up in Oregon, near Eugene, with Tom Ward and Jude Hobbs and Rick Valley.
Oh my
gosh.
And
I just jumped on actually the person who started that community, a woman named Diane Browsey, was at our house when this was all going down, and she says, well, we're starting a permaculture class this weekend. And I had no clue what permaculture was, and it was a completely intuitive thing. Like, this door's opening, I'm going to walk through it. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but something feels fated here, like this door's closing and this door's opening.
So I
went up there not knowing anything. Actually, the part about permaculture that really was the hook for me was about community economics.
Oh, yes.
And so I took that class, and it was great. It was kind of transformative. I couldn't really talk about it to anybody because back then, it was a lot of lecture, a little bit of hands-on, and nobody really knew anything about permaculture. And then, they kind of put all this information in your head and then kind of spin you around and send you out the door. And I was kind of like, whoa, now what?
Right.
And there was a small group of people here in the Bay Area called the Bay Area Permaculture Guild.
Wow.
And
back in the 80s.
Back in the early 90s.
Wow. Uh-huh.
And I found some flyer about how to, it was a one-day introduction to permaculture workshop, and I thought, wow, how could they even talk about it in a day? This is going to be interesting. So I went, and I kind of hooked up with them, and we would do like little introductions, and it gave me a little bit more. And then eventually I ended up taking a course with Bill Mollison down in Texas at Fossil Rim.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, I don't know why, it's so unusual for me, but I ended up getting into the in crowd there and got to know the inner circle. And then later, when Bill came to the Bay Area to speak, I think at the Pioneers, they called me and asked if I could host him.
Oh, wow.
At my house. And I'm like, sure.
Nice.
So we became very good friends, and he's visited numerous times, and we've spent a lot of time, like driving and looking at landscapes. So I learned a lot from him. He came and taught a 2-week PDC here in Sonoma County, and during that time I had to kind of babysit his bulldozer operator, and so whose name is Doug.
Uh-huh.
And we decided to go dig a pond together up at some land we had up north, and we went up in Trinity County, and where it can get as much as 10 feet of rain up there in a very extreme wet season.
Wow.
And then, of course, by June it's just all run off and dry. So we put in some swales and ponds with him and some very kind of steep land, and it all was so successful. I learned tons.
Oh,
and then I did a pond building workshop I organized with Bill. So I did a lot of water harvesting with Bill and his bulldozer operators. So I learned a lot. And then just in my own life, it took a while to I was sort of straddling conventional landscaping with permaculture for a few years, actually, because there was nobody to go to. There was no examples. There were no sites other than up in Orcas Island. I went up and traveled and saw Doug Bullock, and there's some brothers, the Bullock brothers up there, that had a beautiful 10-year-old food forest that I got to see. But by and large, I kind of invented what permaculture looked like for me, and it involved, I come back, I had 3/4 of an acre here, and I just started kind of sheet mulching and planting fruit trees. And then we had a lot of snails and slugs on our garden there, and so we could barely even grow a daffodil. The flowers would get eaten.
Right.
So I decided, I don't have a bug problem or a snail problem. I have a duck shortage.
I love that.
That's where that came from.
We call that stacking functions, right?
Yeah, and so I dug a pond, and it was kind of those things where I'd rather, raise ducks than kill snails, and I was kind of like, well, I'd rather sit by a pond than change duck water, because you have to change the water all the time. And so I dug a pond, and then from the earth from the pond, I was also at that time by then teaching at San Francisco Institute of Architecture.
Wow.
And I was really taken with earth and, cob construction.
Oh, yes.
I'd seen my first cob building up at Aprovecho that Yanto Evans and Linda Smiley built. And that was, I think, the first cob house ever built in the U.S., and I saw that, and I couldn't believe you could build a house made out of dirt balls.
Dirt, I know.
So I had all this subsoil from digging the pond, so I built an office out of cob and hosted a workshop and built the first cob structure in California.
Nice.
Here. And so it was kind of like building habitat. You'd dig a pond, and you can, and also my roof water was going in the pond. It was processing my gray water. It was feeding my ducks, habitat for my ducks, habitat for other critters, frogs and fish, and birds. And it was also offering kind of a southern reflection to help ripen some grapes, because we're in the California coastal maritime climate here. And so it had all these functions, and then the soil from the pond built my office, and where I did a lot of permaculture design for the next 10 years out of that. And that building is still there. My son is living there, and my grandbaby was born there, and they're tending the food forest that's now, 20 years old or more, and they're just chowing on mulberries. Right now I can hear them crunching the mulberries on this big tree that I planted, and all the pears and apples and plums and nut trees, walnuts, and berries. They're just loving it there. And so that's kind of the true regeneration is where this all goes, and if it goes into your, kids and grandkids, then I think that's a success. And so we finished that project, and then we moved to a nonprofit called Commonweal, where we have a larger piece. It's a 17-acre farm that we put a food forest in about 4 acres here, and we have aquaponics and bees and chickens. We had goats for many, many years, and milked goats and made cheese and yogurt, and did a whole dairy thing here for a while. And
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but we're just getting now to the place of completion of this project where the trees have taken hold. We're getting lots of, it was all apples when we came, and a few pears, and now we've got plums and apricots and apriums and pluots and plumcots and mulberry and walnuts and hazelnuts and chestnuts we're growing. And so we've just diversified, and then we have a whole medicinal understory here of because I do a lot of medicine making now and herbalism and distillation. So I'm going to be distilling a bunch of rosemary tomorrow, making essential oil. And
oh my gosh,
from the garden. So we just walk out, and pretty much everything is right outside our door, and it really works.
Yeah,
that's a testimonial.
Yeah, exactly. So, you have in the past 10 minutes, you've planted so many seeds. I could probably do about 4 hours with you.
Right.
So, thank you for that. And one of the overarching pieces of the conversation is how interconnected everything is in your space. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, well, I don't even know where to start. I mean, well, let's start with the water.
Perfect.
It's all about the water. Yeah. And without the water, we couldn't do what we're doing.
Especially in California.
Yeah, and when we came here, there was no information about the water. We had to look at the land, and we found a little dinky-winky trickle of a spring at the top of the valley, which happens to be, this valley is a due north-south facing valley, where we put most of the garden, and we found this little spring, and through environmental health of our county, we found out about a slow filtration sand filter that requires very little pressure, like no pressure. And we just use this wonderful tool called gravity for all of that
everybody's
water.
Got it.
Yeah, right? And so we located everything relationally to the garden, the tanks and everything, so we have enough pressure. They're high enough in elevation. So we have enough water pressure to run drip lines and stuff here.
Wow.
So we did that, and then we also put in a lot of swales and infiltrated every drop of water here for the last 12 years. Just, we'd have a permaculture class, and on water day, we go out there and okay, team, let's build a swale. We build another swale, and so we've been harvesting all this water, and it's been infiltrating into the aquifer below us. And the other amazing thing is that 35 years ago or so, this whole zone was completely denuded. There were no trees. It was cattle land, and it was just overgrazed pasture on all the ridges and everything. And they pulled the cows off about 35 or 40 years ago, and we've been here for 13 years. But the Doug fir trees have all grown up on the ridges. And because we're really foggy, and there's no agriculture up there now, the trees harvest all the fog and have been feeding the aquifers and the spring that we use and we rely on.
Nice.
Apparently, the people who first came here 35 years ago, that spring was dry. And now it's just very reliable. We've just gone through a 5-year drought, and that our cisterns had been full the whole time here. And then we also have roof water. We also have a pond that we have a solar pump that pumps water up to 5,000 gallons on a ridge, and it gravity feeds down. So we keep those full, and that's a different, more developed. We developed that about 7 years ago.
Wow.
So we've got 3 different water streams here. No city water, but we just rely on the water we have, and we honor it, and we manage it, and we catch it, and store it, and use it, and so that's
beautiful. And
the main framework. And
yeah.
then you've got the trees and the forest related to that, and then you've got the animals and the birds that come, and the foxes. We have foxes and bobcats that are our
nice.
rodent control people, and the birds are just doing, and the butterflies and the hummingbirds are all doing their pollinating, and we have bees. We have 9 hives here.
Oh, wow.
And
lots of honey.
We have a lot of honey, and so and that's all related to the plants. And then the plants are related to not only the habitat and the birds, but also to us, so that I can go out and really, I don't have to go to the grocery store if I don't want to. I go to get things I like.
Right.
But I don't have to. I mean, I could thrive just outside my door as we speak right now. Everything is there.
There's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here at the Urban Farm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, well, no, that's a great place to start. Here at the Urban Farm, we probably get about 30% of our food out of the yard, but we're smack in the middle of 4.4 million people. So,
and you're hot.
And we're hot. Oh my God, yes, we're hot here. So
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been here for 49 years now, so it's just what is,
Yeah.
So you mentioned something that I want to define a little bit better for our listeners that don't know what a swale is and why they're important. Can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah, well, commonly, especially here in California, through running large animals on the land, or large equipment on the land, or through development of dehydrating the landscape. And if you have, clay-based soil, which we do a lot, it's not clay, it's sand, and then you don't want to do anything with the sand because it's already infiltrating. But with clay, once it gets compacted, you end up with about 88 to 100% runoff, depending.
Right.
And I've seen it when it's been raining for a month, and I dig down, and 6 inches down, it's bone dry in the soil.
Right.
And if any of you have ever tried to get dry powder wet, it's actually quite hard.
Right.
So swales are basically contoured ditches. They can be any size. You can do it with a shovel. You can do it with a bulldozer. But you dig a shelf that's kind of banked into the hill to harvest the water, not shunt it, but harvest it, so that it fills up like a bathtub when it's raining, and then slowly infiltrates into the ground. And the beauty of that is, if it's done on scale, you can recharge your aquifers. So many people are digging wells and relying on wells for their water, but there's no recharge system going on.
Right.
Because it's all compacted, and you're getting all the runoff, and it's going out to the storm drains and out to the sea and getting salted as quickly as possible, where instead you take that and you slow it down, you spread it out on the landscape, and you sink it into the ground or let it infiltrate. And it can also feed the roots of trees. And it takes a few years. Like the first year, you might not see a lot of result, but after 3 to 5 years, springs will start flowing again. Trees can be off of irrigation. They can be, we have one of the longest dry seasons in the world, but now that our trees are established, they can get water off the swales. And it creates a lens under the soil that will stay there for virtually ever. It's just like an underground tank. It's just that it's got soil particles in there instead of being like a tank. But that also helps purify the water, because the bacteria in the soil can help clean the water, and it's a great system.
Yeah, nature isn't it?
Yeah, you're just working with nature, working with gravity, working with soil profile, working with slope. But, it took machines and large equipment and large animals that created the damage. So we sometimes need machines or large animals, like horses maybe, to repair the damage.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about doing any of this in a pristine situation. We're talking about going into degraded, dehydrated situations and landscapes and doing it there and doing earth repair work where it's needed.
Perfect. So this leads me to my next question, and that is, because we're jumping around all around permaculture here. What is your definition of permaculture?
Well, my definition, I have sort of a one-liner, I guess, like run-on sentence. That is that permaculture is a design science rooted in observation of natural systems that aid us in designing human settlements that have the stability and resiliency of a natural ecosystem.
Wow.
I know it's a run-on sentence.
Well, it is, but it's so right on. I did my first permaculture design course in 1991, and you just summed it up there for me.
Yeah, it's because, we do kind of consider it to be a science because the only difference between, say, permaculture science and reductionist conventional science is a lot of science, they like to look at things in isolation. And what we like to observe are the interconnections between the elements. And that's what we, how it all works together.
Right.
And that's what, to me, is what's really exciting about permaculture, is it's really an integrated, truly whole systems, non-dogmatic, solutionary approach to
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful.
helping.
That was beautiful, what you just said. So how does somebody that's never done a permaculture course, an intro to permaculture or anything, how do they get started?
Well, that's a good question because it really depends on where you are. But I would highly recommend to find a reputable residential permaculture design course. There are a lot of really good online courses, but really, if you're really new to it, I think it's much better to have an in-person immersion. Yeah. And the way that people teach them traditionally is they're usually, a good one's usually 14 or 15 days over 2 weeks with a day off, and you go and you stay at a farm or at a venue, and you
immerse.
You get fed and you get taught, and they, like our courses, we go do a lot of theory in the morning, and then we get out and do the hands-on practicum in the afternoon. Yeah. Often they involve tours to nearby permaculture sites. Now there are some.
Yeah, exactly.
But that would be the best way to start it, because then you're like having face time with real people. Online courses, I think there are some good ones, and there's also some they're sort of all over the map in terms of the quality, and I think it would be really hard for people to know if they're getting a good one.
Well, I think there's a certain amount of, I'm going to even shift that and say there's a large amount of community that gets created in the space of a residential permaculture design course that is really important. And so for me at Urban Farm U, we do online courses, like Toby does one with us, and but I don't ever see us doing an online PDC because there's that valuable community building piece.
Yeah, and there's been the PDC, which is the permaculture design. Some people use certification course. PDC it's almost like an international global brand. Yes. Where you get a certificate at the end, you do a design project, there's a standard curriculum, and it's been surprisingly well maintained over the last 25 plus years, more than that, almost 30 now. Years. Yeah, 30 plus years. And but there are a few bogus courses out there. So I think people need to do their due diligence and just go online and go to forums or something and get,
other people's
a little
input,
vetting before they attend a course. And if somebody's got a good reputation, there's many, many beautiful, awesome permaculture teachers throughout the country that have awesome reputations. And the other thing, too, is I've been doing international courses, and that is super fun. I'll probably be doing one in Brazil.
Oh, nice.
Or not in Brazil, I'm sorry, in Peru. And I've done a couple in Bali, and I did one in Peru already. And what you get is like indigenous Quechua people with, people from Manhattan and Hong Kong and, Brazil and, Mexico and U.S. and Europe. And you just get like this, and having the conversation of permaculture is so juicy. And especially to have like an indigenous person and somebody from Manhattan, the humanity is the same all over the, not the same, but we're all human. We're all share similar values, and especially in permaculture classes. And the solutions really vary whether you're in the Sacred Valley of Peru or whether you're in, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But people start getting ideas. We give them a toolkit so that they can take it and apply it to an urban context or to, rural or wherever, tropical.
Yeah.
It transcends climate, permaculture does, and transcends class, transcends culture, really, because the principles apply anywhere.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a permaculture design course with Dan Dorsey from Tucson here in Phoenix this fall. And you mentioned putting different cultures together. I'm really excited. We have a 16-year-old girl coming over from Liberia, Africa.
Wow. To
be in our course. And, it's like that just, it's a little bit mind-blowing for me. And it's so cool. I'm really excited about that for this fall's course.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. So I'm going to shift a little bit on you, and I want to know about a time you failed, how you overcame that failure, and what you might have learned from it.
Wow.
I know. It's a fun question to ask.
Well, there's a number of things. I don't consider things failure. Like, that word, it's more of a learning curve.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, one thing I can think of that I did is I got like really overzealous with my first permaculture food forest and planted so many fruit trees that I was like saucing and chutneying and drying and chopping and juicing and you name it. For every weekend till I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like we just had to open the gates and let the deer in because
there was so much food there.
There's so much food. So I don't know if it's not really a failure. It's more, but that's one thing. And then also, in terms on the teaching front, I think teaching composting is really hard. It's way harder than I ever thought it would be. And you'd think, compost happens, but I watch people try to compost after I compost. I wouldn't say it's a fail, but again, I would say that I think I had failed, and then and I realized what I have to do is I have to compost with people numerous times, and then I think they have to fail, and when they do, the pattern has been that they usually blame the pile. But it wasn't anything they did wrong. It was like, and then you go and you dig it up, and they've got like food scraps that are like a foot thick, and it's all this anaerobic mess. Yeah. So, but composting, teaching composting is a real thing. I know Elaine Ingham and some of these master soil scientists. I mean, they have like online courses on composting that are like $2,000 or something. And I'm starting to understand why.
Why, exactly.
It's way more complicated than you might think to do it properly. And so shout out to Elaine and all the people that are studying microorganisms. And I do good compost piles, but it took me a long time to figure out how to teach it to others.
Well, composting...
So that would be a failure. I'm trying to think if there's any other... watery things, because all the water that we've done have been really good.
Well, both of those things that you shared about both the abundance of fruit and the abundance of, anaerobic microorganisms really, for me, speak to how nature works. And I tell people all the time that there's only one place on the planet where lack lives. It's between our ears. Right? Because when we look to nature, there is this absolutely amazing abundance, and you found it in both places.
Yeah, and then it's kind of the stocking principle around, making sure that you have a use for what you produce. Mm-hmm. And then, you can always organize, and there's food banks and there's all that stuff. But if you're working, you're busy, to just go pick all that stuff and put them in boxes and drive them into the city or whatever, that's a solution. But it also takes additional time.
Exactly. To
swing that, but there are worse problems to have.
Exactly.
Than that.
Exactly. Well, one of the courses we teach at Urban Farm U includes a whole session on what do you do with all that abundance? Because if we can put systems in place before that abundance arrives, where I've found that I'm much more successful at harvesting and managing it. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, well, what we've had out here with community gardens and stuff is people like to come out from the city, and they're all about planting and getting the garden in, but they're not so big on the harvesting part of it, which is really surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people 50% of being a farmer is harvesting and processing it and getting it someplace.
Yep.
So what do you consider your biggest success?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think the Commonweal Garden here is a tremendous success. Mm-hmm. We've influenced probably 6,000 to 7,000 people here.
Wow. That's amazing.
And we teach, because we're doing not only the permaculture aspects and skill building, but we're also doing deep nature connection. We're doing leadership. We just started a program here called the Art of Vitality with our doctor, who is the community doctor here, who is she's into integrated medicine, and so she's going to be running programs out of the garden. And then I'm also starting an herbal medicine making program and distillation workshops here, where you can just walk out and you can meet the plants and see them. And so we've been doing this for about 12 years, and now we're in the harvest of it. Things are established, and I would say that this would be one of my biggest successes. And I also think teaching has been very successful for me. I think I would say my students, and not only my students, but the people, they're not my students, really, because we are always learning from each other.
Yeah.
But the people who have come through my courses and who I have mentored have been tremendous successes. Many of them are out there in the leadership world, in permaculture leadership today, making a difference all over the world, like Toby, like Eric Olson in Permaculture Skills Center in Sebastopol, and Starhawk, and so many people, and also Occidental Arts and Ecology Center. I trained Brock in permaculture, Brock Dolman.
Oh, no way.
He trained me in biology.
Yeah. Brock's a
we
rock
taught
star.
together for, I don't even know how many courses we taught, but a lot.
Yeah.
And I was there for between a month, 4 to 6 weeks a year for about 10 years there, and that's a thriving, budding center, and he has acknowledged me as being fundamental in helping that get going. And San Francisco Institute of Architecture is another, the ecological design program there is still thriving and happening. So
I love it. I love it how we as a permaculture community get to plant seeds over the decades,
Yeah. And watch, if you stay put, you can actually watch it fruit. And then seeing my grandbaby playing around in my first permaculture garden that I ever planted in my house. That's success. Just seeing him, knowing he's almost two, and he's already learning all the different plants and everything.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice. So what drives you?
What drives me? Curiosity, I would say, would be the biggest thing that I follow. I follow my curiosity. I go through I wonder what would happen if, and I like that. I'm also, the things that attract me are anything relating to alchemy.
Oh, yes.
And that includes anything from making olives to making cheese and cooking to making medicine and distilling hydrosols and essential oils, or converting, it also includes like spinning, taking wool and spinning into and weaving into garments and blankets, and taking raw materials and turning them into useful things. Those are the kinds of things that, I don't know what drives me around that, but I love that. That's the kind of thing that when I look at the pattern of my life, pretty much everything, whether you're planting a seed, making compost, making cheese, making medicine, creams and lotions, whatever, I just love.
It's magic.
Doing it is.
It's magic.
It's a miracle. It's miraculous. And it's beautiful and it's useful. Soap would be another one. I love making soap.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of like into the crafty things.
Yeah, doing something with all that abundance.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have
being able to walk out your door and have it right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a question. I don't normally ask this question, but it just something's niggling at me to ask it, and that's why should somebody take a permaculture design course?
Oh, great question. To develop some ecological literacy, for one thing. I think a good course teaches people how the world works. So, for example, if you take an engineering class, what we teach in permaculture is almost complete opposite of what they teach in engineering.
Yeah.
And even in landscape architecture and some of these specialty fields, because engineering, they like to pipe and pave and get the water. Like, water is dangerous, and of course it's dangerous when you run it straight down a hill in a pipe. Wherever it's going to come out, it's going to fire hose out and erode the soil and kill salmon in the process by covering their eggs and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
But permaculture, you start to look at, it brought me away from what I was taught in school to what I know inherently. So what happens for people is it just makes sense and it resonates with people.
Yeah.
Because, they have aha moments a lot.
Yeah.
And, so there might be one topic a person might be, it might be, solar energy, and maybe they know everything about solar energy, but how that all works in relationship to a whole site design, most people don't know this.
Right.
I sit on the building appeals board for our county in Marin County, and I've just finally been invited to give the board a workshop at our next meeting about permaculture.
Oh,
because
nice.
The problem is, the departments don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Like environmental health doesn't talk to the building people, and the building people don't talk to the planning people. And the planning people aren't talking to the engineering people, and then none of them are talking to ecologists. And, we've been citing examples all throughout the county where houses have just been put in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Legitimately with permits and engineering and experts and people with degrees deciding all this stuff, and it's just wrong. They're just in the place where all the water collects on the landscape and all the water is running into their house, and they're blaming their neighbors. And it's like, actually, no, it's not your neighbor's fault here. It's where you sited your house. And so they are now getting really excited about the idea of integrating more. We've also created an ordinance here where natural buildings are allowed to be built in Marin County.
Nice.
Through this board. It's not that well known, but people could permit a clubhouse in Marin. We're just waiting for someone to come forward with a project.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, that's also a success, I would say, because I was unanimously appointed to this board for building appeals, for helping people navigate the building process, where I've never actually gotten a permit myself. But they like what I stand for, and they like what I do, and they've seen the buildings, a small, 120 round feet building where you don't need a building permit, that you can build legally here. They've seen them, and they like them, and they're really interested in wanting to allow things like cob construction to be legal.
Yeah. Beautiful. How long have you been on that commission?
2 years.
Oh, good.
It's a 4-year position.
Yeah. And it took them 2 years to ask you for a permaculture class.
Yeah, because I'm not out there like tooting my horn or anything.
Yeah.
But finally, I couldn't stand it anymore because they're talking about, how nobody's talking to each other. I said, well, that's exactly what permaculture is.
Yeah.
See, everybody thinks it's about agriculture.
Yep.
I think it's about the garden.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, no, it's actually about linking disciplines.
Right.
It's about connecting art and engineering and ecology and agriculture and land use and planning. It's all of that together, and that's what they started getting like. I said, this is why it's so exciting for me. And they said, wow, that does sound exciting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about it?
That is a huge win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all about education, and I have to know, is there one book or maybe two that has been influential for you in this process? I know it's one of those questions.
The designer's manual is a brilliant piece of work. Mm-hmm. Like when I had to do courses, was installing farms in Bali in the tropics, and I brought that one book, and I'll tell you, every time I opened it up, I found my answers that I needed because I didn't know anything about tropical agriculture at the time.
Right.
And I found some angels who taught me so much. Balinese people, but also when I had certain questions, I would open up that book, and it was almost like, divining, and it would be in there. But based on urban, because to bring it back to the urban, there's some really cool projects out there. One of them that I'm really interested in it's called the Brooklyn Grange. It's in New York.
Oh, yes.
Do you know about this?
Oh, yes.
They're producing like 50,000 pounds of food off of 2 roofs.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
But there's a book called The Roof Farm, what Brooklyn Grange taught us about entrepreneurship and community and growing sustainable business. And then Farm City by Novella Carpenter is great.
Oh, yes.
She just tells her story about doing it. And there's another one called Food in the City, Urban Agriculture and the New Food Revolution. And that one sounds really good because, a lot of people think permaculture is about, rural, getting back to the land and having, your 40 acres. Mm-hmm. But it's actually very potent in the cities.
Oh, yeah. Because we have all these resources here that mostly are wasted.
Yeah, but if, when things are done right, an urban farm could be way more efficient in terms of growing more in less space, using less resources, high-intensive gardening, less waste because you don't have that capacity to, waste things when you're in limited space. Right. And also just growing food where it's being consumed. And it's a way, what I love about education is that it can help people who might not have a lot of money, but they can, if they can learn how to grow their own food in the city, they can actually have access to healthier food. Yeah. But it also, you have to then link it into, if you live in a house that's older than 1970, you've got lead all around.
Lead paint.
So you have to be, that's where permaculture courses, they address that whole piece. Yeah. So, yes, there's growing food, but it's like in the city, how do you grow food? You got to isolate it from the ground in most cases because you just don't know what's under there.
Exactly.
If you want to have healthy food. So that's when I say eco-literacy. I'm thinking of eco coming from the word oikos, which means home. Mm-hmm. So eco-literacy isn't just about, ecology is basically the study of home, right? Right. But thinking of eco as our home and literacy, I think permaculture courses can really aid in helping people understand how things work. Yeah. And then once you understand that, then you can find solutions and you can problem solve and you can, think for yourself in a much more coherent way. Rather than having something just be handed to you on a silver platter.
Exactly. You get to figure it out that way. I think we become better thinkers in a permaculture design course. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So what one final piece of advice do you have for our listeners?
Well, I would say, I definitely would say if you haven't taken a permaculture class, take one. Find a good one and take it. I would also say to follow the things that you love. Like, follow the process that you love to do. Like, if you love people, then figure out ways of creating livelihoods and opportunities for you to work with people. If you love just being alone out in the garden, develop those kinds of skills. Follow your heart, because that's what keeps us alive and impassioned and empowered. And even if it means like doing it in your spare time, or you have to have whatever job, but if you can find something useful to do that the world is waiting for, it has value, and you will be supported in being able to do that.
Yeah.
If you develop appropriate skills for that. So that would be one thing. Yeah.
Perfect.
And we're going to be hosting some.
Oh, please.
We do a 1 day a month here so it's mainly for California Bay Area residents, but we do 1 day a month permaculture class called 4 Seasons. And we're doing an integral permaculture class, which is a 3 day a month, where people come out here to the garden for 3 days, and we pull out all the stops, and we're going to be doing everything from it's beyond the PDC, so people have already had a PDC. This is an advanced opportunity to then go deeper and learn more about beekeeping and gardening, and deeper relationship to projects and water harvesting and water purification, but also yoga and qigong and vitality and health and nutrition and biodynamics. We're just going to really go deep. Botany is another one that people need more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're kind of cherry picking the ripe fruit that people, I think, are needing and wanting in their lives and learning more about, and we're doing that in our integral permaculture program, which is on our website at regenerativedesign.org.
That's what I was going to ask you next. What courses do you have coming up, and how do we find out about them?
And we're also doing a teacher training. That's residential, so people can come from all over. We're doing a teacher training from September 3rd through the 11th with Jude Hobbs.
Oh, that'll be a rockin' course.
One of my first permaculture teachers. Yeah, it's going to be great. So, and that'll be here at this permaculture garden at Commonweal Garden. And during that, there's also a 3-day, it's a separate workshop. We're going to have 2 running simultaneously, where I'm doing an art of distillation, 3 days from the 9th through the 11th.
I want to do that one.
Yeah, it's like 3 days. You can fly up or whatever.
Yeah.
Drive up and do it, and so that's going to be fun. I'm doing that with my friend Jeanette Acosta, who will bring a lot of the indigenous perspective into the whole workshop, and I bring in the Hermetic tradition of Europe into it, and then we're going to be hosting a seasonal 4 times a year, starting in March. There's I think in March, and then in May, and then in August and September, where people come out for 3 days during this time, and we're going to go deep into the herbal wisdom, plant knowledge, and medicine making. But also, then they go home and they are going to create their own herbarium and their own apothecary, and then they'll come back.
Nice.
And then we'll evaluate the products that they're creating, and so it doesn't end just on the weekend. We'll make creams and lotions and gels and powders and tinctures and salves and all of but learning also the deeper secrets that the plants hold.
For me, I teach, and this is why I teach, is because I believe that's where we gain the most value, both in learning when we're teaching and learning from the students, and I can clearly see that you do that too. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing your experience with us today, Penny. It's been a treat getting to chat with you.
You're welcome. This has been really fun, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. And so how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, through our website, www.regenerativedesign.org. And my email is just penny@regenerativedesign.org, PENNY, if they want to contact me directly. But even if they go through the Contact Us, it will get to me through the website also.
Perfect.
So that's the best way.
Perfect. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us on the Urban Farm Podcast.
Well, you're very welcome, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh, you bet.
Okay, take care.
Decades ago, I started growing food in my front and backyard, and I realized that my mission in life is to inspire and empower others to grow their own nutrient-dense, healthy organic food. Because of this, a lot of people have come to me with their gardening questions over the years, and that got me thinking, what if we put together a community that would help budding gardeners blossom? So I finally made the idea a reality with my Urban Farm U member program. Each month, your membership includes 3 live online events, a monthly class, a chit-chat with an expert, and a monthly coaching session, plus access to the experts on our member page and a significant discount on our signature courses. I'm deeply committed to transforming our global food system, and I do this by empowering you to grow your own food. The Urban Farm membership program is a simple way to get going. Please join me in transforming your food system today. To learn more, go to urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444. That's urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Urban Farm Podcast. Remember to listen 3 days a week for tips, advice, and resources to help you on your journey with urban farming. You can find us on the web at urbanfarm.org or send us an email to podcast@urbanfarm.org. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Be encouraged that with each lesson learned and skill developed, you are one step closer in the direction of your dreams.